Hey everybody, JJ here. Back again for a Wednesday of Zoom networking. Got me a little light on. Let's do that. Guest speaker today is just a really awesome guy. I was actually, we run into some people that are just so successful in the landscape. They're intimidating, and before you meet him, you're like, oh my gosh. And I've just heard nothing but phenomenal things about our guest speaker today. And, when I got a chance to talk to him, get to know him, he's a family guy, he's a father, just a great guy. Just I feel like I've known him forever, but he's friendly and nice. And what I always talk about and the importance of what we do as investors is to find people that we resonate with and resonate with us. And this guy's just one phenomenal young man. And we're going to be hanging out next month in June. He's coming to Los Angeles. I'd like to introduce my friend Jim Felouzis. Jim, how are you?
Good. How you doing, JJ?
I'm great, man. I'm great. I can't wait to hang out with you here in Los Angeles.
I'm looking forward to it.
Hey, so for those that don't know you, where in the country are you located?
I'm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
I've been to Pittsburgh in February.
I don't even want to be here in February.
Oh man, it was cold. It was cold. Um, so we met through the real estate industry. I've become an investor, and I've recently got some business partners where we're doing a fund and lending and all that kind of stuff. But I've had these Zoom calls going for a while. One of my partners said, "Hey, you need to meet this guy, Jim." And I said, "Sure." I said, what? He's well in the title." And I said, "Well, oh my gosh, that's a really important topic." And yeah, I know my family's had real estate for years and shopping centers. My parents passed away, and we had to title had to be transferred, and names on the deeds and all this stuff. And as real estate investors, we're moving property, and title is extremely important. So I thought. I realized we didn't have anyone to speak, and then had the opportunity to have Jim speak. I thought phenomenal. So, Jim, for those that don't know, we have some people on the call that are brand spanking new, people watching on YouTube weeks and months down the line that are brand spanking new. What is title? Our topic today is title companies protecting your interests. For those that don't know, what's title?
Well, it's a lot. It's complex, and it's hard to. Nobody can really do a deal without a title company or an attorney. It's everything from reviewing a contract, PSA agreement, to reviewing buyers and sellers, real estate agents, license, notaries, dealing with the lenders, making sure that they have our information, we have theirs, and everybody is vetted. It goes into searching the property. It goes into making sure that that property can be transferred in the correct lien position. It goes into handling the closing aspect, the recording aspect, the post-closing requirements, and then your title policy at the end. So obviously, title companies do a lot from start to finish on the transactions.
So, what title companies is, I suppose they would handle not just one transaction for an individual, but for years on by, and then a relationship becomes developed.
Right. So this is a total relationship driven business because our fees are regulated. States regulate the fees. So in most cases, there's some cases they don't, but relationships are everything. You want to do business with people you know. And we're going to get into later on, why you want that and why you need a trusted partner and a partner that can financially back when there's errors.
With investors, um, some of us, we have different levels of experience within, the industry. Um, at what point in a transaction would an investor develop the relationship after the contract is signed or after the money's exchanged, after the money's been put into their own account? What point in time uh, does one look to engage a title company?
So really at the the contract being signed, right? They need to fill out information on their contracts as to who their title company is. A lot of times they'll Google somebody, or they may know somebody if they're doing local business. We do national business in all the 50 states, so we get contracts all over. When those contracts are signed, obviously, if you're new, you're trying to find a title company and hopefully we can help you. But if you have a vetted title company, great. If you don't, how much business do you want to do and handle with somebody that you don't know that's going to handle all the money and make sure that everybody's happy on a transaction?
Now, let me ask you about that one comment you made, handle all the money. I've heard a couple times over the last few months of investors saying that they were doing business with someone and they gave them a deposit or they gave them money and that person took the money and ran and people say, well, gee, you shouldn't have done that. What does it mean? How does one protect himself in having their funds, their finances handled by a title company? At what point in the transaction would the title company first receive any funds?
Yeah, so EMD deposit typically is first. But I would always make sure I know who my title company is. I would make sure that I spoke to them, that I talked to somebody, that I verified wiring instructions for EMD deposits. I would make sure that I Googled them, made sure they have a website. I'd even look to see who their underwriters are. So, for example, you have Stewart, First Americans, Fidelities, BCHH, we're owned by Stewart. So obviously you would see that on our website, and that should give you some comfort level as to, okay, my money's going to a title company, not somebody that's going to run off with it. And then from there, I would continue to build that relationship with my title company through that transaction and every single one after. And if you have to have multiple title companies because you're you handle multi states, then you need to have that many relationships. And again, that's part of what we're trying to help you with. You only need to have one relationship here.
Jim, I recently had to deal with change of title on a series of properties where my parents passed away, and those properties were held in a trust, and then had to be moved over. Is this something that title companies handle as well, or is it just buyer seller kind of transactions?
No, we handle it every single day. We have, in title, you do a search of the property. We find a lot there. We find everything we need in that search. Now, normally you would love to have real estate agents or investors give you more information up front. When you're a title company, more information up front, the better job we can do. And then you want to get it to your exam team. Now, we have licensed examiners that will go through that search, make sure, okay, your parents passed away. Okay, there's a probate, there's a will, whatever it is. And then if we need further investigation, we have attorneys in all 50 states, legal counsel that will take a look at that and make sure we're handling it the correct way. Now, that's just one little piece. Now you got to get to the closing piece. If there's brothers, sisters, if there's other heirs, what's that split of the money? If it had to go through a probate, do we have those probate court documents? And then off into the recording of the deed. And the deed would be a pretty interesting deed. Sometimes you may have to have 10, 15 people sign off on a deed. So it can get complex, and the title company handles all that for you.
You're talking about the search. So you guys search quite extensively because you say there may be multiple people owning that property.
Yeah, title searches, each state has a certain amount of years we have to go back.
Okay.
Usually 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. Some states are a little bit different. So we go back that many years and research the property, and that's what we examine. And that's how we create a title commitment for you.
Mr. Rob Howdigate, you're on with Jim Felouzis. What's your question?
Hey, JJ. Hey, Jim. Thanks for your time today.
Hey, Rob, nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. So, hey, question. I'm finding out that making a relationship, establishing a relationship with someone in title that's key. it's very, I mean, everybody I think needs that relationship as I'm, understanding this. I've been doing this close to a year now. But who would you reach out to at a title company? Like, what's the person? What's their title? And then what would be the best approach to say, hey, I'm not like the next guy, or the guy that just called you. I want to. How do you differentiate yourself?
Yeah, Rob, it's a great question. So, two reasons why I'm here. Obviously, one is to help you investors, whether you're young, new, been doing this for 30 years, have one place to go, right? So you could build that relationship with a BCHH and you're going to get everything that you need. Now, if you have to go into a local market, you don't like the national footprint, or you only deal in one market, I would go face to face if you're dealing in a local market. I always find that to be a better way, better approach. But when I call, I'd probably look for some type of director of operation title. I would think that would be, operations manager, something of that nature. And then you would just vet some questions out with them. I'm an investor. I need a title company in your area. We do these type of deals, novations, A to B, B to C, assignment contracts, whatever it may be. You know, how do you handle these? What's your pricing on these? I would go into who is your underwriter on these. I would ask them for some examples and questions so they understand what you guys are trying to do, because every title company says, well, we do purchases, we do that, we do this. But in this market, what you guys are working on, A to B's, wholesales, assignment contracts, not every title company does it. And as a matter of fact, it could blow up a deal, right? So you need to understand even the lingo that I can speak. You obviously know we do those type of transactions. Are they going to bring that up when you say I do wholesale transactions? And let them do most of the talking. They have to sell you.
Rob, just before we let you go, I know here in LA, there's some tile people that I've spoken to that are completely unfamiliar with some of the things we're doing as wholesalers and creative finance. And so, I think Rob, Jim's kind of talking about what you and I talk about all the time. And you had a very legitimate question. Who do you talk to? Myself having an operations background is this, yeah, get to find that entity there, as Jim's saying, within each company. And some may have a different name for it, but just with your ability to talk to people and understand, of the different aspects of what you're dealing with, like you do, you should have no problem. I just say reach out, make that cold call, and just because you're so good at it now with what we do
No,
in networking. So,
yeah, no, I appreciate the confidence there. Thank you. And Jim, thank you.
Greg Strongway, Jim, what's your question?
Yeah, as a new soon-to-be lender, I would love to avoid common pitfalls of folks just getting into the industry, and wanted to know what are some things, common issues that arise during deals that I should be aware of as a lender or investor, and ways to ensure that we're really mindful of the relationships that we're building and what we're bringing to the table, and things to avoid, basically. I don't want to be in those situations where it's like, oh, that could have easily been avoidable, newbie.
So, Grace, great question. I think you first want to make sure that you're dealing with reputable people and have some relationships in place first. It's not just with title, but if you're a lender, you're going to have appraisers. You're going to have people that you need to go home inspect. There's going to be a lot of different things that you need. So I would build that footprint, at least a little bit. It'll grow as you grow, but that's going to be important. Number one. As a lender, I would never wire to some title companies, or I would have some requirements that you need a title company to fill out to be in your network. E&O insurance, wiring instructions. How do you verify them? If you're going to get CPLs, who are you getting those CPLs from? Because if it's an underwriter that's not very reputable, then what does the CPL actually mean? Are you really protected if your money goes sideways? So, and I could help you with that. I'll show you how we do it. And then that way it doesn't have to be in such a professional format. And then you'll figure it out from there. I would also make sure that you have your lender instructions very clear and concise for your title company. It should be the first thing you send them. And it should there should be no gaps in that. When you want your recordings, when the release is going to be done, everything. So that is key because that's their Bible. That's what they're looking at.
Grace, I might add to that. When I was new, and we're all still new at different things. Um, but they just frequently said that the new real estate investor, instead of going at it on your own in the beginning and just trying to venture down that forest, to team up with someone who's done a number of deals, someone that has that experience that will have the experience to help you avoid those pitfalls and hurdles. Um, and it's not a matter of, you know, the new student wanting to do it all to keep all the profit to themselves, but share that profit for two reasons. One, for the security of ideally that other person's experience will help you, avoid a number of mistakes, but also, you might then be building a business partnership with somebody who, do they all go well? They don't all go well. But ideally, what's going to make that go well more often than not is how you and I met, by building relationships and being a community where everybody knows one another. And how do we vet one another? Because it's surrounding yourself with the right people that's going to, whether they're working with you or whether they're just there to ask questions of. And one of my favorite quotes is, don't chase the deal, chase relationships. But if did we answer your question there, Grace?
Yeah, that last one was really good, JJ. That's been the common feedback, like just go with someone seasoned in the beginning. But even this piece I didn't think about. So that's good to keep top of mind. Thank
Well,
you,
and
JJ.
we'll continue to talk, and you'll see how the group works, and I'll
Mhm.
introduce you to folks. And I want to point some things out myself later on. But you're obviously very sharp, very smart, and the key is to find those that you resonate with.
Mhm.
Those that resonate with. Doesn't matter how much experience someone has, how many deals they've done. If you don't have this kind of connection like Jim and I have, where, hey, welcome into my home, sit down, my kids, my grandkids, my parents, my grandparents. If they're not going to be receptive of me, it means they don't like me.
Mhm.
We
Mhm.
want to get that friendship
Yep.
because people help people that they like. I'll help anybody, but if you're my friend, I'm going to help you more. And if you're showing me you don't want to be my friend, then I'm not going to do business with you. I don't care how many deals you've done.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you both.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome.
Rafael Rosco. Hey, my good friend. Hey, you're on with Jim Felouzis. Ralph, what's going on?
What's up, Jim? How are you?
Hey,
Thank
Raviel,
you
nice to meet
for
you.
your time. Awesome. Hey, I have a question. What's your opinion about short sale addendums on a normal transaction and the lender is actually just a normal guy, it's not a bank?
Well, I think if you're dealing with a private lender, any attorney could draft up a document. So it doesn't really need to be a short-term addendum. I mean, you need them on deals where the lender is not private. So we would be able to draft that for you. And then we would just charge you whatever the cost is when the deal closes. We could do that in all states. So it's very simple. That's very unique to just the transaction because the short sell will draft it for whatever that lender or private lender wants it to say.
Okay. Yeah, because that's the first time I know that one short process and a short sale addendum. I guess that was different for what I
Uh,
understand. But
it's not needed in this case only because I think it's just a private guy would just have something documented and notarized. I would personally have it done by an attorney, but doesn't have to be.
okay. You're awesome, man. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Thank you, Alpha. Hey, Rose, you're on with Jim. What's your question?
This is very, very important. I've not done any deals like you guys or anything, but I know of a gentleman here. He's pretty big. He's a wholesaler. And here in Chicago, that got scammed by somebody that he partnered with. When I just heard JJ saying, make sure you try to partner with somebody. And it's people that he does deals. He's constantly doing deals with people that he's met and liked and this and that. But obviously, they've never sat down to eat with this person. And he got taken. The deal that supposedly they went to title, and the person that was wholesaling him the property didn't even own the property, didn't even own and it went through title, it went through everything. Then once they started doing the research and everything else, they found out that the guy had nothing to do with the property. By that time, the guy was long gone, with his money and other people's, and they had to locate the actual person that owned the property. And it affected him so much that Chase now closed his account, froze his account, his business account, with all his money. That this is a really interesting segment. I know JJ does a lot of interesting ones, but I wanted to participate just because learn more about what title entails, and not all partnerships work out. You got to be very careful with everything you're doing.
When we're new, a lot of times we didn't even hear the word title, and it's a structure there to protect us, as Jim says, in so many regards, you know. But there's money taking place. There's equity of ownership of property taking place, and you know, everything from the EMD all the way to the final payment. But make sure that the deed is held properly.
Right.
And these are things we don't know. And I think a lot of times when new investors get into the industry, they don't fully understand the importance of it sometimes until after it's too late and they've lost money.
Yeah. Yeah. And we were very fortunate that this young man was not shy to share his experience, because other people, I'm like, oh my God, I got taken for a ride. I'm not going to tell nobody, and just keep it to himself and not make people aware that there are scammers out there, and they are really, really good.
They are amazing, and we deal with it every day, every single day. From people that have tried to scam emails, change email addresses, change wiring instructions.
I think
We've
that's
had
what they did
people,
to him. They
yeah,
changed the wiring instructions, and that's how they ended up taking the money and run.
oh, and we've had it where people are trying to sell properties they don't own.
Right.
So there's steps though that are now put in place by title companies, or at least by us,
Mhm.
that limit that very, very
Right.
much.
Right.
And so that's where I tell you that a relationship and understanding who you're all are dealing with, because all your money is going there, they're going to get your money before you get it. The title company gets the money first. So you're never getting paid until they do what they're supposed to do. So you should definitely know the people that are wiring you the money and understand and have that relationship.
Thank you. I just wanted to share. It was no question.
Thank you, Red. It's always good to see you. Thank you for coming on. Hey, I wanted to talk about, I had a question myself that we hear frequently when we're looking into whether someone owns a property or not. Where do liens come into play?
Yeah, so when you do a search for property, everything comes back: taxes, last recorded deeds, mortgages, judgments, liens. And a judgment or a lien is something that somebody filed against the home. And anybody can really go do it. Sometimes they're not valid, but somebody comes to put your windows in, you didn't pay them, or you shorted them the last $500. He can file a lien against your home for $500, and the title company has to let you know, hey, do you want to pay this? If you don't want to pay it, we got to get it released. Well, how do we get it released? Well, you got to call the guy that filed it, and you got to work with your attorneys, and there's many different ways, right? But they stop a transaction because you cannot sell a house to someone who's buying it with an open lien, because they they want first lien position. Why would anybody want to buy something that has a problem? So it has to be fixed. Same with like a delinquent tax lien, HOA liens. If you don't pay your HOA, you don't cut your grass. Everybody, I could go file a lien on JJ's house right now. So some of them are easily removed. Most of them needed researched.
You know what's crazy is we have an issue in my neighborhood. It's not the greatest neighborhood in Los Angeles, but it's not the worst. I have a neighbor who's got an issue with the city, and he's saying that he's going to go file liens on another property. How hard is it to file that? And what kind of legal, legitimacy do they need to have to file a lien? I've heard of, contractors filing liens.
Yeah, so when it gets into the legal part of it, I'm not an attorney. So you'd have to kind of research that by state. But I do think that if you drafted a lien yourself, typed it up and went to the courthouse and paid for the recording fee, they would put it on the property. Now, whether it's valid or not, whether it holds up, but they would do it. So it doesn't necessarily have to be from an attorney or a business, but in most cases it is. It could be child support, it could be alimony. Somebody may owe the government money for some past problems. So it'll all come up when we do the search. And until we say the file's clear, it can't close. And so that gap period on some files, as soon as you look at it, it's clear close. Other files, it could take months,
Okay.
especially when you're dealing with probates and people that have passed away.
Okay, yeah, we have a really unusual situation here. It probably doesn't merit merit being gone into anymore on this call, but no, that sounds great. And obviously, your experience with this, your company is, you know what you're talking about, and we're going to continue with more questions. But basically, people need to work with an established title company, right? People that have been around
Yes,
for a while that know what they're doing, not just these guys opened a title company last week or something like that.
correct. Absolutely.
Hey, you're on with Jim Felouzis. What's your question?
Hey Jim, for those who are working to help homeowners perhaps that are distressed, is there a certain amount of time frame or turnaround time that they need to contact you to check for liens? For example, pre-foreclosure situations?
So it really depends on the situation, right? Anybody can call us and order anything they want. On those situations, most of the time you're buying the home as is. So you're buying it kind of with whatever problems it has. So I would absolutely pay a title company $100 to tell me what I'm buying. So yes, in your situation, I would. And if they partner with a national company, somebody like us, we could set up, an account to where they can order their searches. And then if they end up buying the property, then we'll use that search. So they don't have to pay for it again. And then we could set that up as like a little unit and handle that business.
A one-time search for all my properties potentially, or each
No,
property?
just each property will need its own one, but you'll have a workflow to make it very easy for you. Workflow, once you establish those relationships, the next thing you need is a workflow, and it can change, but it has to be airtight so that you can continue to make deals while we're handling the title on your other deals, so that you're not always having to chase things down.
If people want to get a hold of you, have questions, not just on the call right now, but weeks and months down the line, We talked about some of your contact info earlier. Your direct number is 724-601-0045. Your direct email would be jfelouzis@bchhinc.com. That's his direct email. And if you guys have contracts that want to be reviewed or things of that nature, another email that you would use would be investorclass@bchhinc.com. Jim, could you expand on the investor class, what that is?
Yeah. So when you saw that contact sheet, the way that I want to explain it, if you have questions for me, if you have questions about a deal, call me, email me. I'll help you get it structured. I'll help you understand it. The investor class email is when you guys have a live contract and you want to use BCHH. You can email it right there. That email is specific to JJ's groups. It's specific to everybody on this call or on YouTube only. So that way we could track it. We know where we got the order from and we'll process it for you. And then the investor class phone number is to reach our team, our people that are working on your files. So again, please reach out to me for any questions. But if you have a deal, you want to get it to that investor class email so that we could start working on it.
I have a networking group. I'm always talking about the importance of networking, building relationships. You've been in this industry not a minute, maybe like for 2 or 3 minutes. You've been here a while. Um, you've met and dealt with many lenders, investors through the years. Whether people are, they're I met you because of my education group. I mean, Mark Abramovich. Mark Abramovich is how I met you. And there are so many investors coming to these real estate education programs, these education programs, learning cold calling, short sales, creative finance, wholesaling, whatever it happens to be. Some of them are brand spanking new. Some of them have decades of experience. Um, but they're often coming to social media now for the first time. Not them using it for the first time, but they're using it for the first time for their business. Uh, for the real estate investor today, whether they're, new experience, brand new, or whatever it happens to be, how important is social media and networking to the success of someone's business?
Yeah. So, you know, it means everything, but I really started to get into that during COVID, when you're not on the road, you weren't seeing your clients. So I was kind of late to the game, but it's really a unique way to get yourself out there as far as what you're working on, what you're doing. If you're a lender and you just lent 250,000 on a home and Nebraska, post that, hey, look, lender, somebody's going to forward it. Somebody's going to share it. Somebody's going to do something with that. At some point, it will translate to business. And the whole collective is to use your social media in a smart format. Some people like myself, I don't really do like put my family and stuff like that. Family's family for me. But a lot of people like seeing that stuff. So you kind of have to just be a very neutral to kind of, I wouldn't be putting a lot of one way this, one way that. If you're using it for business, you kind of want to be just right down the middle.
What I call Switzerland.
Yeah.
You want to be Switzerland. Yeah, exactly. No,
Yeah.
Jim, thank you so much. I'll tell you, dropped a lot of great value today. Can't thank you enough for coming on. And guys, we've got Jim's contact info available. We'll provide it again later if you need it. But to get my community introduced to you is huge. And there's so many people that have questions on title industry, various things we probably haven't even discussed today. But now to have a resource in yourself, someone that people can connect with is going to be just, beneficial for those that choose to utilize it.
I agree. And I thank your community. It's been great. Your business partners have been great. They helped me get to this point today. I also think that, when you're doing this, like the advantage to having these relationships is okay, how do I make money, right? Money, wealth. And then obviously wealth comes from these relationships. Start there. And then even your health, right? Like if you're doing business with trusted people and you can close with confidence, then you don't really have the worries that a lot of people do. Is my deal going to close? Is this going to come through? You just want somebody that's going to tell you, hey, this is delayed for 3 days. You may not like us for saying it, but we're not going to drag you on and just hope it happens. So, you want this business it can wear on you. So you want to just know people and make sure that you stay healthy. So thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jim. Hey, if you guys are watching on YouTube right now, please like Jim's video. Please put your takeaways in the comment section. If you're on the call right now, don't go away. We're going to go to the breakout rooms in just a minute. Again, if you guys aren't watching on YouTube, you want to contact Jim directly. His direct email would be jfelouzis, Felouzis at bchhinc.com. And this is your website, correct, Jim?
Yes, that is our website. You're welcome to go there and look around. You could go to our LinkedIn page. You'll see some of the deals that we do. Some of them are very unique. So you'll get to see posts of those. And then we also have a Facebook page that you're welcome to go see.
Again, I want to thank you guys all for watching. If you want to get a hold of me, scan this teal QR code here. It takes you to my website. Click the register now button, which website's JJ Azizian. If you want to see more of our videos, Jim's video coming up, and some of our past guest speakers, scan the purple QR code. Takes you to my YouTube channel, The Flipside Up with JJ. And everybody else, hang tight. We're going to come back together, just all of us. And Jim, everybody else, we'll see them in the world of, website, Instagram, Facebook, and everything else, right?
I look forward to it.
All righty. Hey, guys, thanks for joining us.